Hey, I'm John Greaves III. I'm the founder of Garage Gym Life, and I've got a special treat for you guys today. This video was brought to you by you because I reached out to you guys for help in getting this video set up with Scott McDonald, who is the CEO of bodysolid, a company that I've long been a fan of. And I've got bodysolid products in my home gym right now that I have loved for a long, long time. We're talking decades. So I cannot wait to talk to Scott. But first, let's check out the shirt of the day. Hey, the shirt of the day is the hashtag Garage Gym Life tee. Hashtags are a great way if you're searching on social media to find the content that you're looking for quickly and efficiently. So if you put hashtag Garage Gym Life in on Twitter, here on YouTube, or on Instagram, it's going to take you to content that's been uploaded by home gym owners from around the world who embrace the at-home workout lifestyle. And so we've got the hashtag Garage Gym Life tee to represent everyone who has chosen the fitness lifestyle, but who's chosen to do that at home. The hashtag Garage Gym Life tee comes in multiple colors, and it is also comfortable enough to wear during a workout, or you can throw it on with a pair of jeans if you're just gonna go out on the town. You can check it out by visiting the link that's below this video, as well as all of our other home gym merch. And as always, thank you for your support. All right, so once again, you guys can grab that shirt of the day by going to the link that is right below this video. You are supporting the channel, making it possible for me to do everything I do here on YouTube, so I appreciate you. Let's jump right into it. Scott, thank you for joining me here today.
Thanks, John. Happy to be here.
It's surprising to me that as much as you guys have been a fixture in the home gym community for decades, since like 1980s, bodysolid's been around, right?
1989 we were founded.
1989. So despite that, a lot of people don't immediately think of bodysolid when home gym equipment comes up. I think that's probably because you guys do a lot of B2B stuff. So like you sell to dealers and then you let your dealers do it. So let's just get started with, tell people briefly about the history of bodysolid. And you've got 3 tiers of equipment, I believe, 2 levels of residential and then the commercial line. Just briefly, just let people know who you are, where you came from, and what you have.
As I mentioned, we were founded in '89 here we're based in the Chicago area, just west of Chicago, and we've been here all of our corporate life. We were founded originally to fill a need for specialty fitness retailers, and these are the retailers that most people have in their communities that are maybe 1 to maybe quite large store chains, 20, 30 store chains. There's a few that are that large. And back in those days, the distribution channels were very geographically oriented. So if bodysolid was selling somebody in Chicago, they would not sell somebody else in Chicago. This is pre-internet and so forth. And one of our founders was a guy who had what we believe is the first specialty retailer within Chicago, and he couldn't get product. Because his product was being sold to other folks. So he got together with the other 2 partners who founded the business and started making product, actually originally in Wisconsin, but then moved it overseas after that. And from there, it's just been growing. He and the other 2 guys retired a little under 20 years ago, which is when I took over. Really, we started out with home equipment only, a lot of benches, a lot of home gyms, and in the stack weight sort of style of gym, multi-station and so forth. And then from there, we've grown over the years to include really everything from soup to nuts in the fitness industry. We have actually quite a bit more than 3 brands. We have, bodysolid is our core brand. That is our premium home brand. It can also be light commercial in certain environments. And bodysolid carries a lifetime warranty in the home. Powerline, which is still a great line, has a 10-year warranty. If you were to see, the product lines somewhat parallel each other, but the bodysolid line has got beefier metal, thicker upholstery, and what have you. The Powerline line is also great product, 10-year warranty, just a little bit lighter weight, but still a great quality. And then our lowest line, which is still a great purchase, is our Best Fitness line. And that's really for entry-level people who are looking for something that's generally relatively small. It's also good for the internet because it ships in 1 box, most of it. So it's an easy ship and you don't lose boxes and things like that. Besides those 3 lines, we have our cardio line, which is endurance, and that covers all of our treadmills and bikes and rowers and what have you. We have our accessory line, which we call bodysolid tools, which is covering things like jump ropes and medicine balls and iron and what have you. And then we go to the commercial lines. We've got Pro Club line. That is our commercial line. So that, in a nutshell, is all of our brands.
So you said power line, and that gave me like some flashbacks, because way back in the 20th century, kids, there was a thing called a magazine. It was physical. You actually held it in your hand. It was like a giant book with pages, and the pictures were in color. And in the back of some of these magazines, you had power line ads, and I remember seeing those. And then for the job I had at the time, we would go to a lot of I guess expos that would be club expos, because I worked for a public gym. And so we would see some of the bodysolid products there. And that's actually where I discovered your company, but going to those like the Perform Better Summit and places like that. But keeping it with home gyms, I got a question on Instagram from a young couple in the UK, Bruce Hansen and Jan Adams. I'm not sure how long they've been home gym owners, because Bruce is 71. Jan said she's a little bit younger, and that's where she's sticking to it. I've been married long enough to not ask any more questions, but they do own a number of your products. In fact, you guys featured them on your Instagram feed. So I think it's a pretty good question, because they're obviously home gym owners, and they want to know how important the home gym market itself is to bodysolid, since you guys tend to not sell direct to consumer.
It's very important to us. It is still the majority of our sales. We do sell a lot of commercial products, and a lot of our home level products can be used in a commercial environment. There's two definitions of home gym. There's a gym that's in the home, and then there's also the home gym, which is the what I referred to earlier in the interview here, the stacked weight sort of gym that has multi-stations. To this day, I think we still make the most home gyms that have the stacked weights of anybody out there. And then we have all of the ancillary products that go along with that, anywhere from a jump rope to a cardio piece, to a single-use piece, plate loaded, stack weights, or selectorized as we call it. Pretty much anything you want for the home market, you will find. And a shout out, by the way, to the couple in the UK. You probably got the product from one of our most important and great dealers there, Body Power.
I'm glad you said that about the home gym as a multi-station. That's what I think of it as a multi-station, because those tend to appear in apartment buildings a lot, which is someone's home, right? So that's actually something we don't normally think about as home gym owners or content creators for the home gym community. The apartment buildings that have a shared use facility that's stocked by multi-stations.
There's another factor. Space is money for an apartment owner. They want to use as little of the space as they can to attract their future tenants. In your house, a lot of people these days are building beautiful new houses with dedicated gyms that have all the space in the world. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say 95% of the people out there have got, like I do, a small room in my basement that's devoted to a home gym. And so space becomes a big issue, and you don't have the ability to have, five different single-use machines. Right. So you get a home gym where you've got multiple stations that are going to pull off of 1 or 2 or 3 weight stacks, takes up much less room, and allows you to do your, have a full level of exercise without taking up too much space.
So you mentioned that some people are starting to build their homes with an eye to having a home gym or a home workout space. And I think a lot of that is fallout from the pandemic. So trying to tie this together, how did the pandemic and the lockdown and the demand and increase in interest in working out at home, how did that affect you guys in terms of your plans on going direct to consumer? Maybe not like having a physical store, but at least through your website.
So 2 questions there. First of all, how did it impact us? Everybody in the fitness industry was gobsmacked by COVID when it happened. Remembering myself, as we're in Illinois, and it was March of 2020, and our governor, put out an announcement that everything's shutting down, basically. I pulled the decree and, figured out that we could stay open for various legal reasons. We supply, medical and armed services and things like that, military. But everyone at that time thought, okay, it's going to be 2 weeks, it's going to be 4 weeks, it's going to blow over real quickly like a flu does. Obviously, we all know today that that's not what happened.
Yeah.
And all these people who, you know, when you look at the fitness industry going back even further, before COVID, you know, fitness, you know, I'm old enough to say that, you know, when I was a youth, my parents' generation were, you know, jogging was maybe beginning to be something, you know, there was.
Well, the doctors told you it would kill you.
Yeah. Yeah. They had aerobics was beginning to be something.
Yeah.
But people did not, you know, the people who did heavy lifting were Venice Beach and what have you. The people, you know, you did it to get big, not to get fit necessarily. And nothing like, you know, CrossFit or any of those programs were around as they are today. So obviously people had got, you know, the whole population of our world is doing so much more exercising, you know, as you get into the, you know, to the era before the pandemic. So when you take that away, suddenly, obviously people have to fill that hole. And that's where things went nuts. Everybody wanted to buy fitness equipment for their house. And I mean, it was crazy. I mean, we had to really be careful how we were selling and where we were selling, just because we only had so much inventory. You know, luckily we keep a fairly high level, but you know, we went, you know, our inventory, by the time things kind of went or smoothed out, our inventory was probably about 20% of what it normally would be, because we just had sold everything out. But to answer your second question about selling direct, you know, we've got a really great group of dealers that we deal with. Mm-hmm. It's a decision we made a long time ago. And particularly when you get a more complex piece of equipment, it's important to talk to somebody about, you know, your equipment. You know, it could be on the phone. It doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, in person. But, you know, when you're going to spend, you know, $500,000 or more on something, you know, you probably want to kick the tires a little bit. And by having those dealers, you know, it makes a big difference for us. And so, you know, we're going to continue to support our dealers. You know, there's been some thought over the years of selling online, but direct. But what we do have the capability to do is, you know, an individual, if they do, you know, they can place an order. It's not really an order, but on our website, and that comes to us here. And if, you know, if you're in Chicago, for example, we'll say, okay, here's the local Chicago dealer who can help you with that. We'll make sure you find the product, whether it's a local bricks and mortar dealer or somebody online. Our product's available, you know, really all over the world.
So I've got a local fitness depot where I go if I want to just buy something, especially if it's something I want today. I want it now. I call them, hey, do you have this? I go down there. And the advantage it gives me is being able to touch it. See if it, you know, one of the things people don't really think about is measurements. So I can measure, I know what the measurements are for my, from floor to ceiling in my garage. I know what my floor space is. And I go down there and say, okay, well, if I go down with my tape measure, if it doesn't meet these measurements, well, it gets to stay with you guys and I go home without it. You know, I'll figure out something else. So that is a big advantage, I think, of having the dealers. And at the end of this, we're going to get the information to people who are watching so that they can check out your dealer locator so they can find somebody who's close to them. I currently own a bodysolid ab bench. And I remember the ab bench coming out in the pages of Iron Man magazine. And I remember they were really pushing it. Jonathan Lawson, Steve Holman, who was, I think he was editor-in-chief at the time. They were really pushing it because you work your abs through the full range of motion instead of like with a sit-up or something like that where you're limited. Now, people are really familiar with the ab mat, but the ab bench allows you to load the exercise. So what was it that attracted bodysolid to the ab bench in particular?
Well, that particular product was developed before I joined the company, so I can't give you a firsthand knowledge. I will say that ab products have been a huge part of our product line and still are. We still sell that same product that you're talking about, which is our PAB 21. As you can see, the product is fairly simple. Basically, you've got weights that are stacked on the cable in the back. You're sitting in the bench and you're doing your ab exercise, whatever it might be. Very, very simple, relatively inexpensive. You can go up quite a bit from there. Some of our more modern ones have plate horns that are coming off the sides that you can plate load. We have some that are selectorized as well that allow you to hold up weights as you're doing the ab exercise. One
of the things that I find intriguing about bodysolid, I would say something that I think is a perk, is you guys have a slightly different approach to, it's a customer service thing, but replacing parts. And I want you to get a chance to unpack this, okay? So you guys had a quote from an AMA you did on our HomeGym. You said you would hate to see a perfectly good product be junked just because it needs a new cable. So if somebody buys something used, let's say they go on Facebook Marketplace, it's probably the most popular place, and they buy a bodysolid whatever, a functional trainer and the cable's frayed, can they reach out to bodysolid and get that replaced, or do they need to go to the home supply store and figure something out?
No, absolutely. I'm going to do a little editorial comment right here for me and for anybody who's making cable-based equipment. You need to inspect your cables often. If they're ever frayed, you need to get them replaced. The chief cause of any injuries from a home gym are cables snapping. So you'll see, like on our gyms, there's lots of warnings to inspect your cables before every workout. And the question is, absolutely, we will get it for you. We have a somewhat disorganized, but getting more organized, but huge parts department. And even for those gyms that you might have that, let's say you bought a home gym that we no longer make anymore, back in the 90s. We have, we actually can make our own cables here. So if we don't have one in stock, we can make a cable for you. If there's a frame part that is a problem. And for the original owner of a piece of equipment, it's a bodysolid piece of equipment. It's got a lifetime warranty.
Speaking of Our Home Gym, that if you guys aren't members of Our Home Gym, that's the largest subreddit where you can go in there, you can get questions answered. You have people like Scott who come in, Joe Gray, who is one of the mods over there, does a great job of getting people like Scott in to come in and just ask any question. I've done 2 AMAs. Scott, you've done 2, where basically people you can ask literally anything.
We really enjoy them. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's like you guys say you like to check it to see what home gym owners want in their equipment. So the question I have is, what's been the most surprising product you found requests for on Our Home Gym?
Boy, that's a tough one. Usually it's something that is really, really specific. I'm going to exaggerate, and I don't want to pick on anyone, so I'm not going to be specific. But I would like to have a better attachment for my power rack that works my little toe. It's usually really, really specific, or
and it's got to be knurled.
exactly, and anodized. But no, so. I can't think of anything that's really off the wall. And the other thing is that a lot of these products start out as an idea, but then that somebody has, and then it becomes ubiquitous throughout the entire industry.
I know you guys get feedback from the authorized dealers. What are some of the most common things they report that customers are telling them about the bodysolid products they buy?
Well, I guess we don't usually hear the good news. Like I love it or something like that. We usually get that through social media. We'll get minor complaints. This is a good example of how we go through product development. And so this goes back a couple of years now, but we make a number of different power racks that really go anywhere from a full commercial down to some more entry level pieces. People love our full commercial version, the SPR 1000 series. Great product, lots of neat attachments, but it was too tall, too big to really be in a house. As we started getting feedback about that from our dealers, from the social media, from things like the AMAs, we developed a new power rack, our GPR 400, that in many ways parallels the SPR 1000 series, and then all the attachments that go along with it. But it's shorter. It's under 7 feet tall. We've tried to make it as not deep as we can, shallow. That's the word I'm looking for. Sorry.
Okay. Front
as shallow as we can without sacrificing, the usability of it and the functionality of it. So that it does fit in somebody's home a lot better than a very large commercial power rack would. What
would you say is the best way for customers who love your brand to affect what bodysolid offers, like what they have available? Is it what's the best way for them to say, hey, I wish you guys had this, or I hope you guys never get rid of this?
Well, we've got lots of ways you can contact us. Obviously, we're on every major social media, and that gives you the opportunity to talk back to us at any point in time. We do participate in some of these Reddit events as well, which are a great opportunity. But you know what? You can also just give us a call or send us an email. Probably send it to sales@bodysolid.com. And those are great. That's great feedback. One of the things we also love is we love to hear about really cool installations of our product. We've got, people who will show us a view of, a beautiful bodysolid home gym with their view of the woods behind their house or whatever it might be. Those are fun. And that sort of stuff, we will feature it in our social media if it's pretty compelling.
how tough is it to forecast? I know we mentioned that people on our home gym or whatever will say they want something. How tough is it to guess what home gym owners will want in the future, 3 to 5 years down the road? Because you guys you kind of have to forecast a little ways out before you start building a thing.
It's very difficult. It is, I just described what happened to us in COVID. And what's interesting is, the demand for products that had been like power rack demand during COVID was steady, but home gyms, the selectorized home gyms and functional trainers just went off the charts, which prior to that, home gyms had been kind of like diminishing a little bit as part of the market, because people were getting more into, power racks and functional training, because it can be a better workout. It's certainly more flexible pieces of equipment for somebody who knows what they're doing, fitness wise.
And you mean, and to be clear, when you say, you mean multi-stations were becoming less popular because people were getting more into like functional training. Okay, I got you.
Yeah. So as hard as predicting what demand is going to be for any particular piece of equipment is, what's going to be more interested, what are people going to be more interested in? Are they going to be interested in, functional trainers, power racks? Each has its positives and negatives. And we just have to do our best to guess. But the other thing we do is, we're fortunate that we are, well capitalized and have the ability to hold a lot of inventory. So, here in Chicago, we've got, many, many millions of dollars of inventory of products across the board. We have, 600 different SKUs. So, if we happen to, typically we overestimate so that we know that we'll have the product. And if it sells out over, 6 months instead of 2 months, then that's okay. We can handle that. I would rather do that than to buy 6 months supply and all of a sudden run out. There. I will say it's particularly in the last several years with supply chain constraints and things like that, it's been a harder thing to nail down, but things are getting back to normal now. And I think our company, at least, from an inventory standpoint, is worlds ahead of where we were a year ago, and definitely ahead of where we were 2 years ago.
So let's go back to the lifetime warranty as we're starting to wrap up here. One of the things that I love that you pointed out is it's one thing to offer a lifetime warranty, is another thing to be around to honor it. Because I've purchased stuff and it's a lifetime warranty, and then found out the company, I've had a home gym since 2001. So I've bought stuff, and then it's time to service it, and the company's not around.
That when you're buying anything, whether it's a home gym product or a TV or whatever it is, you want to look at, what I call the full package. And the full there's the old adage, there's the price and there's the cost. The price may be lower, but the lifetime cost of a product could be quite a bit higher if it needs a lot of service, if you have to replace it prematurely because the manufacturer's not there anymore. And so I think people do respect our warranty, and that's why we sell a heck of a lot of home gym equipment around the world. But there are individuals, I'm sure, that are much more part of a kind of a throwaway culture, that it's like, okay, my pen stopped working, and I'll just throw it away, or maybe I'll make sure, okay, maybe it's still working, but that's maybe not a very good example, but particularly with electronics these days, as we all know, it just seems that they, and there's obviously the fact that they run out of they become defunct or out of date fairly quickly too, but that doesn't happen in the home gym market.
One of the things I loved about HomeGymCon 2023 was the chance to get in front of stuff and actually put my hands on things. And that's something that a lot of times you really can't do at a dealer location. And what I mean by that is you could work out on the equipment. Do you guys have any plans on being at HomeGymCon either 2024 or 2025?
We actually are signed up to be there. I think it's in Indianapolis in March, if I remember correctly. Yeah, we will be there this year.
Oh yeah, and
or not this year, next year, March.
Yeah, next year. Yeah, I'm telling you, HomeGymCon, I was at the first one, and you would think French Lick is not the place to be, but I was pleasantly surprised because before that, all I knew about French Lick was Larry Bird. Yeah. And when I got there, I was actually surprised. The resort, in fact, it's popping up over my head right now, a link to the playlist with the everything about HomeGymCon, but French Lick Resort has a ton of things to do. It's got like one of the world's largest golf courses, got a lot of horseback riding. So you guys are in for a treat there.
And it's famous. It's been around for, I think, since the turn of the 19th century. It was I mean, it's been there for a long time. There used to be hot springs and stuff that they would use.
Yeah, my daughter, she was 7 at the time, and we actually, the highlight of the trip for her, because she went with us, was we went down to the arcade that's in the hotel, and she played Space Invaders on like the old school Space Invaders with me. Yeah, we had a great time. There was a bowling alley. So yeah, it's a really good time. So that's the end of my commercial for the French Lick Resort Hotel. Yeah. All right. If y'all want to send money, I'll give you, get in touch with me.
Let's encourage everybody to come.
Definitely.
It's a great show, and it's for consumers as well. So,
as a home gym owner, what excites you most for the future of our community?
This sounds a little bit pie in the sky, or optimistic, but what I love about what I do, or what our company does, is that it's something that hopefully has a positive impact on somebody's life, and these communities like yours, it just improves it that much more. It gives people the opportunity to talk about it, to share notes, to learn more about it. There is, you may forget, I may forget, there's a barrier to entry to getting into fitness, because people look at it and say, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't, I don't know a pec from an ab, I don't know my muscle group. I don't know anything. And how am I going to learn it? And certainly there's lots of resources on the internet to help you, but the community is even better. And I just love the fact that it just gets people are getting healthier. People are, we've got a tremendous problem in our society with childhood obesity, childhood, not staying active. Having a home gym absolutely is going to get your kids. Hopefully they're going to see you working out. They will get your kids, your kids will be working out, and they will carry that into their adulthood, and hopefully, and so on and so on and so on.
Any chance of me getting a picture of your home gym that I can post on my social media?
Yes.
Okay. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to get this picture from Scott. I'm not posting it today because that'd be too easy, but I'm going to post it at some point this month. And so you guys have to follow at Garage Gym Life, and you also have to follow at bodysolid. Okay. But I'm going to post it on my social media, on my Instagram, and then we'll see if anyone can guess out of all the pictures I post, which home gym belongs to Scott. All right. I'm not going to tell you, and then we'll figure out if we can kind of give a prize to whoever guesses. But
that's good.
But before we go, Scott, you mentioned the dealers and how awesome they are, and that they're a great way for people to be able to get bodysolid equipment for their home gym. But beyond that, I want people to be able to learn more about your company. So what's the best way for someone to find out more about bodysolid and to find a dealer that's close to them where they can actually go out and put their hands on some of your products?
So obviously our website would be a great place to start. It has all of our equipment up there, has great information on there. It also has a little bit of information on how to, depending on what your goals are, can guide you in what kind of equipment you would want. And that's bodysolid.com, all one word, BODYSOLID.com. On the front page, at the very bottom, there's and I think maybe at the top too, I got to remember that right now, but there's a dealer locator, and it's real easy to use. You put in your zip code, or if this is somebody international, you put your country in, and it'll tell you all the dealers in your area. And then the other thing is, for the new products and the new ideas that are coming out, definitely follow us on social media. We're on every single platform. You can very easily find us, bodysolid. And then you'll know when we come out with the latest and greatest new equipment that's hopefully exciting to you. At least some of it might be. And that's probably the best way to go.